So first, I just want to start with, can you tell us a little bit about what you used to do before you gave your life to Christ?
I started working when I was 12. I started with a youth-oriented show called Ang TV. Somewhere along the way, maybe around 18, I was advised to change my image. And so because I didn't have Jesus in my life, I didn't know what he did for me, then I said yes to it along with other people who were managing me at that time. And we all thought that it was logical for me to get into that niche because nobody else was doing it. And true enough, after that, I got more famous. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was doing. I would do sexy films, I would do sexy dances, basically everything that that comes with the package.
So can you tell us exactly what was the drive that got you into the whole sexy industry?
I think the reason behind that for me then, looking back, it's more of if I don't do this now, if I don't change my image now, I'm just gonna fall out of the race. Mm. And it's a very competitive business. Mm-hmm. So if I don't change my image, I'm just gonna be like everybody else. And if I don't stand out, then I'm gonna lose this position. Then if you lose the position, you lose the money, mm-hmm. you lose the fame, everything that comes with the package.
So obviously you're not in the industry of making sexy movies or taking certain pictures. What was it that brought about this change in your life?
Well, of course, only Jesus can make you turn around like mm-hmm. that. If you understand what he did for you on the cross, that he died for you, that your sins are forgiven, that's the only time you're gonna have the ability or the strength to say no to all of these things that I would do before. It's when you see God that you get to know who you really are, mm-hmm. like what you're doing is actually wrong and that you're being sinful.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you came to know the Lord personally?
Some of my friends on the set got saved. They got to know the Lord and they would attend church and do Bible study. And then they would ask me to go to Bible study every Wednesday. And I was like, that's so corny. Who goes to a Bible study? You just want to drink? Let's just drink. But they kept on forcing me anyway. But after a while, I would say maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. I was like that for some time. And then when the show ended, I told them, I'm open to it, but not right now. And then when I turned 25, I saw one of them again, and he still was a Christian. He still would attend church. Quietly, he would just give me books to read, and he would play worship songs around me. And then after a while, because I would hang out so much with these people, I would notice a difference in their life. Because I noticed that, I was kind of intrigued. I was looking, but I wouldn't admit it to myself that, you know, I wanted that kind of life. Until one of those days, the appointed days, ordained day of God, wherein I landed in his church, one of the churches. I was tricked into going to a service, and I couldn't understand. When I entered the church, I was like, everyone's raising their hands, worshiping. In my head, I was like, this is so weird. I don't want to ever do this again. I'm just going to sit through the service, and after this, just go home and forget about it. But for some reason, what the preacher was saying caught my attention. It was about the bleeding woman. About the bleeding woman who has been bleeding for 12 years, mm-hmm. but then happened to touch the cloak of Jesus and was healed from then on. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know why, but I felt like crying. So I was like, okay, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel like crying? And then I just felt it. From that moment, something opened, like my heart opened. Like I was more willing to listen to my friends, and then eventually I got the Bible. I started reading the Bible, and then I was introduced to more and more Christian friends. And after that, one time that I attended the service, I just raised my hand and said I wanted to surrender my life to Jesus.
So Rica, can you tell us a little bit about some of the changes that took place in your life after coming to know Christ?
I think one of the first few things that I felt like I had a desire to change about me was the way I lived personally. Like, I would always be after work, I would always go out and drink with my friends, or if I don't have friends who are available for the moment, I would just buy alcohol and do it at home. And I kept on praying day and night that, you know, God, just take away the desire to smoke or to sin, take it away from me. And eventually it just happened. It just went away.
What were some of the changes that you took in your own dress after coming to know the Lord?
Woo.
Were there any?
Oh my gosh, it was so hard actually when it comes to dressing. In my line of work, you can't change just like that. It has to be like a step-by-step process as well. And so one of those times when I had to guest on a show and do a sexy dance number, and they were asking me to wear the usual, which is, the usual would be glittery, shimmering broth, right? And so I knew that it wouldn't honor God for me to wear that. So instead, even if I looked crazy, I put tube underneath.
Rica, can you tell us of any of the sacrifices you've had to make with your career in terms of really bringing glory and honor to the Lord?
I had to do a lot because, like I said, the image was sexy. When I was asked to dance, I would decline offers to dance sexily on afternoon variety shows. But aside from that, I think the most memorable one would be when I realized that I was still under contract for bench body. I realized that, this is wrong. God did not intend for me to show everyone my body, to be in an underwear collection, but this is solely for my husband to be. Whoever God has for me, he's the only one who's supposed to see this. And realizing again that I was under contract, there's no other way but to buy out the contract. Because if you're going to breach it, they're going to end up following you or hounding after you through the court system, right? So they're going to sue you. And I was thinking, at this point in my life wherein I wasn't accepting all of the offers anymore, so financially I was affected, I didn't know what to do anymore. But I just know one thing. I was so sure of one thing. I wasn't sure of what to do, but I was sure that I didn't want to do this anymore. And, anyway, I don't really know what's going to happen here. I might as well write the owner.
Wow.
So I did. I was like, go straight to Mr. Ben Chan. Who knows? But
good for you.
Yeah. But I really honestly didn't know what I was thinking, why I did that. But I just started typing. I just thanked him. And then after that, I started telling him about my genuine desire to change image, that's one, and the things that were happening in my life, because back then I was also newly enrolled in a school. I went back to my studies, and I told him that with all the changes happening in my life, the direction wasn't really going that way anymore. To be an underwear model wouldn't fit my image anymore. And so I asked for him to release me from the contract, and that I offered to pay whatever amount or whatever is in the contract stipulated, what have you, for me. And so I ended the letter, I signed it, and I kept laying hands on it. I was like, oh God, please, please, I don't have money, you know that. And so I was really, really nervous. But anyway, I sent it. 2 days after, the right-hand man of Mr. Ben Chan called me and asked me, so just choose, well, which of our products? And I was like, why are you making me choose? And then she's like, no, because you wrote Mr. Ben Chan a letter, right? So you just choose. Your contract says that you're our model for apparel and underwear, the body collection. So just change it with something else, replace it with something else. It was so quick, that's why I wasn't prepared. And then plus the fact that when she said choose, I was just so amazed that I didn't hear her say that she was gonna sue me or like run after me, or that even worse, that Ben Chan was mad at me. But they were so gracious. They just told me to replace it with something else so I can fulfill my duties in the contract. When God gave me the blessing, he added no trouble to it. And I was like, wow, this is how you work. It's painless.
It's so neat to see how you used, your faith in God, your choice to really be holy and really step away from, doing those kind of things, especially with bench body. Because I'm sure the tendency is, we come to know the Lord, but then we kind of say, okay, Lord, I'll give you part of my life.
Right.
But then we don't give God everything. And so that's what I really want these ladies to hear, is that when you allow God to become a part of you, dwell in you, it affects everything. It's
Right.
not just an internal change, it's an external change. So with your life after you came to know the Lord, there's changes. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, the change, and did that help in you meeting your
love
husband?
Okay, yes. By being sexy or by attracting the opposite sex in a very physical manner, it's going to be easier, or that, yeah, I mean, you're going to end up with someone if you're sexy, right?
Right.
But you just don't know how that person's going to treat you.
Right.
If you're all body to this person, then he's not going to care about the way you think, the way your emotions. He's not even going to care for that. Let's put it this way, very simple. If you're ungodly, then you're more or less you're going to attract an ungodly man. The way you dress or the way you carry yourself actually sends a message, and it speaks to the person about how you want to be treated, right? And so because I would wear stuff that are, you know, they wouldn't think of, you know, respecting me, stuff that didn't send the correct message of I want respect, or I'm pure and holy. It just didn't send that. So naturally the men that I attracted were ungodly as well.
Rica, we've heard a lot about the changes in your life, and you were saying that, you know, many times when we're ungodly, those are the kinds of people we're going to attract.
Yeah.
And we haven't been able to hear about your love story, but can you tell us a little bit about, once you experienced that change life, you attracted...
Yes, a pastor.
Amazing.
It's just so crazy. No matter how many times I think about it, it's just something that only God can do. If it's dependent on my past, then I wouldn't be deserving the kind of husband that I have right now, right? But because of what Jesus did for me on the cross, I can live a beautiful life with my really godly husband. It's just amazing. I can't put it into words how someone would remind so much of the love of God also to you. And that's the kind of man that you would want, right? So, and that's who Joe is in my life right now.
That's a great point, I think, for all the single women, to just remind themselves that it starts too with the way they clothe themselves, because first impressions do matter.
Yes.
They do, right?
Yes.
They really do. Rica, thank you so much for taking your time and this opportunity to bless all of us. It's been beautiful to see your heart and to see how God has really transformed you into His likeness. And I'm so excited to see what God has for your future, and for your future with your husband, with Joseph. So thank you again so much for your time. You know, this has been such a blessing to get to know you.
Okay.